Hi, everyone. Welcome to Chakra Healing 101. This is week 2 of the course. So this week, whoops. So this week, the learning objectives are as follows. So we're going to learn the location, color, and attributes of the root chakra, which we will just go over that slide from last week. We'll explore the signs of imbalance and their physical and emotional imbalances. We'll learn about the shadow aspects of fear, survival instincts, and family ancestral patterns. We'll learn about healing techniques such as grounding exercises, affirmations, and crystals. And then I'll also provide the link for the root chakra meditation / Reiki session. All right, so let's get started. So we'll just review from last week. The root chakra, so it's at the base of the spine. So the attributes that it rules over are grounding, survival instincts, and stability. And when it is unbalanced, we could see fear, anxiety, and that could also manifest in our physical reality as financial instability. The color is red. On the top right-hand corner, you could see the symbol. It is the floor petaled lotus. And on the bottom left, you could see when you're in meditation pose, that it's right at the base of the spine. All right. So the themes of the root chakra are security and survival, safety, so being able to feel safe in your body and in your environment, grounding, so being able to ground yourself to earth and into yourself, and the right to exist, so being believing that you have the right to exist on this earth, on this planet. So let's talk about security and survival. So a healthy and balanced root chakra helps us obtain everything we need to survive, which includes food and drink, shelter, and money. So these are the bare minimum elements to survive in order to create a foundation for better things in our life. So a healthy root chakra allows us to acquire these things with ease, while an imbalanced root chakra makes survival harder. So when we have a balanced root chakra, our bare necessities, such as food, drink, shelter, and money, are easily attainable to us because we believe that we are deserving of these things. They are part of our security and survival, and we understand that these things will be provided by the universe for us because we are deserving of that, because we deserve to receive at least the bare minimum so we can create a better and brighter foundation for ourselves. Safety. So survival isn't enough. We need to feel safe. The root chakra allows us to create a safe environment and to leave any situation that isn't safe. When this chakra is imbalanced, it can be harder to feel safe or to take action to become safe. So a severe imbalance can disrupt our fight or flight response and can attract situations that put us in danger. So in order for us to feel secure, in order for us to not just survive, but to thrive in this world, we must feel safe within our own body and in our environment. And the root chakra allows us to create this portal of safety within ourselves and around us so that we can create a better life for ourselves. When we're in balance, then we can run into issues where we don't feel safe within our body, we don't feel safe in our environment, around the people that we're in. And a lot of times, if we don't believe that we ourselves are in a safe environment or that we deserve safety in our lives, we can manifest certain people, certain situations in our lives that will put us in danger, that will actually cause safety issues in our lives. So, next is grounding. So, we need to be grounded in order to stay in the present moment and overcome our challenges. A healthy root chakra allows us to create roots to the earth. This allows us to stand firm even when there may be chaotic situations around us. So think of yourself like a tree. The stronger the roots, the better the survival of the tree. So if you picture yourself as a tree, then you want a tree with a very good base, a very good root system that is deeply grounded in the earth. So when we have, for example, situations such as a strong wind or any other situation for that tree, we can maintain grounded in the earth and not tilt over as a tree. Same concept for us. If we maintain a strong root, a strong system of being grounded to the earth, we have a better chance of surviving because those external forces around us don't affect us as much. On the other side, an imbalance in the root chakra can make it harder for us to focus on goals, dreams, and instead makes us feel that we're without direction and we can feel spacey. So, when we don't have a really good ability to ground and to stay in the present moment, we are possibly thinking of all these different scenarios. And so, therefore, our goals and dreams, we can't really focus on our goals and dreams if we can't even have the basics of survival completely taken care of. So we have to have a strong foundation, a strong root system in order for that tree to grow and thrive and produce fruits, right? So, exactly like us, we need a strong base, a strong root system so that we can provide and um, manifest the fruits of our labor. Next is the right to exist. So, if we feel like we don't belong on this planet, then it will be harder to acquire all that we need to survive. So, people who feel unworthy to exist have a much harder time having their basic needs met and achieving their dreams. So, if you believe that if you feel unworthy and you believe that you do not have a right to exist on this planet, then you are putting that out to the universe. That is the energy that you're putting out. And so, therefore, the universe will reflect that back to you, and you will have a harder time meeting your basic needs, whether that's food, drink, shelter, money. And that'll take away from you achieving your dreams because you will be so focused and so consumed by just providing the basic needs for yourself that your dreams and goals will just, you won't have any energy for that. So it is important to know that you have the right to exist on this planet, that you belong here, and that you have a purpose. All right, so what are the common reasons for a blocked root chakra? So you can experience abuse, neglect and abandonment, accidents, surgeries, or injuries, poor boundaries, or inherited trauma or generational trauma. Let's talk about abuse. Abuse can make you feel that you are unworthy of love and that you don't deserve the right to exist. Abuse puts us on a state of fear and danger, and if that is partnered with manipulation, it can make you feel that you're unworthy of happiness. Although abuse can affect lots of chakras, it hinders us from creating a solid foundation or believing we deserve a foundation at all. So if you have experienced abuse in your life, or if you have experienced especially abuse during your childhood, that has greatly impacted you and has greatly impacted your root chakra. So neglect and abandonment. Neglect and abandonment can create a sense of not belonging or deserving to belong. So when someone neglects you, such as a parent or a loved one, it can feel as if the whole world is rejecting you. And that cements the belief that you don't deserve the things you need to survive. So if somebody neglects you, abandons you, then that kind of creates the belief that you will be neglected and abandoned by others in your life, and you kind of just don't deserve to even survive. Now, you may be aware of this, conscious, or this may be a subconscious belief that you need to address. So, this belief is a pretty hard one to overcome, especially if you have been neglected and abandoned as a child. So, this one's kind of a personal one for myself. Um, so, part of my story is my parents are from El Salvador. I was born in El Salvador, and they came to the US when I was around 1 year old. So that in itself was abandonment, right? I was only an infant, a toddler. So I have no conscious awareness that this happened, but I'm sure on a subconscious level, this abandonment, this neglect from my parents, not having my parents around, created this belief that my parents or my loved ones were rejecting me, neglecting me, abandoning me, and therefore I've had this belief that I don't deserve the love of my loved ones, of my parents, um, or the things in order to survive. So, again, this one can be a very common one, and one that kind of takes a while to overcome, because it can be deeply engraved into our psyche. And a lot of the times, or especially for me, this was a subconscious belief. I wasn't even aware of these beliefs until I started to unpack and really look at how me not growing up with my parents at such a young age affected my mind, my beliefs, and my life in general. Next ones. So accidents, surgeries, and injuries. So when you experience an event that traumatizes the body, it can make you believe that you are not safe. So, depending on the severity of the accident, it can alter your body and mind for a lifetime. So, if you have experienced a traumatic event, whether it be an accident, some sort of surgery that might have gone bad, or that you just were afraid of, or an injury that happened, It can make it harder for you to even heal from the surgery, the injury, the accident. It can make it hard for you to feel safe and grounded again because of the worry that the incident might happen again and the belief that your life will never be the same. And you can probably think of a person in your life who has gone through a major accident. For example, a car accident, where they have had serious injuries and they have been traumatized by that accident. They no longer feel safe. For example, they may have a fear of going in the car. They might have a fear that things will happen if they are in a car. So all these different worries affect our body and create blockages in our root chakra that don't allow us to feel safe again. Next one is poor boundaries. So poor boundaries allows neglectful or hurtful people into our lives and tell the universe that your needs don't matter. So this allows people to rule over your life and neglect or abuse you as they see fit. So when we have poor boundaries, we allow people to enter in our safe space, our space that shouldn't be in our space. These people can be either neglectful or hurtful, but we have allowed them to come into our space because we have told the universe that we do not value ourselves enough to have a hard boundary towards this person and turn them away. So therefore, they have kind of gained control over our life in a way, and we are allowing them to neglect us and abuse us as they see fit. So in turn, having strong boundaries and speaking your thoughts and emotions and creating boundaries that don't allow these people in, then you're creating a safer environment for yourself and telling the universe that you deserve a safer environment for yourself. And the last one is inherited trauma. So if you have issues with your root chakra, but none of the previous examples apply to your situation, most likely you have inherited trauma from your parents or previous generations. So when our parents and our grandparents experience trauma without healing it, it affects their beliefs, their thoughts, and behavior for the rest of their lives. And as they are living their life with these traumatic experiences without processing them, without healing them, then those beliefs, thoughts, and behaviors are passed on to us, their children, their family members, for the rest of their lives. So, as a child, it is easy to absorb anxieties and fears from our family members without realizing where these emotions come from. Since we are experiencing these emotions, our mind is telling us that they are ours. And this is creating a belief that shapes our thinking and our behavior. So, for example, if your parents had a belief that and we'll actually trace it back to this specific chakra. If they believed that they always struggled with their finances and providing food and shelter for your home, That was their belief. They had this traumatic event because their parents also suffered from those same beliefs of not being able to provide the bare necessities. So your grandparents have this belief that they aren't able to provide the bare necessities for your parents. Your parents now believe that. And now that your parents believe that, that is what is manifesting in their lives. So they're unable to provide food, um, clothes, their shelter for you. So therefore, now that belief is now getting engraved in your mind that you don't have the capacity to provide the bare necessities for yourself. So it's a constant cycle repeating itself until somebody breaks that generational trauma. So inherited trauma is common for descendants of refugees, survivors of war, or survivors of genocide. And those are some things that you can kind of trace back your generational trauma to. Um, but just think of any event that your ancestors could have experienced and could have gained generational trauma for, and then see what that could be, how that could be manifesting in your life. So there can be trauma that has been inherited for many generations. So in the science community, it is believed that trauma can be inherited through our DNA. It takes a person to heal these traumas to break that cycle. So whatever the cycle is, the generational trauma that is being inherited takes one person to recognize that pattern and to process that wound and heal that wound to be able to stop that cycle. So, like I just said, think of what your ancestors may have experienced and how those fears, anxieties, traumas may be manifesting in your life now. A big example here, if you are of the African American community, your ancestors experienced slavery. And so, therefore, you are carrying that wound from a lot of different generations. And how are those anxieties, traumas, fears manifesting now in your life, even though you're not experiencing what they experienced, you're experiencing those fears, anxieties, traumas in a different way. And it's up to you to kind of unpack um, those wounds in order to be able to heal them. The root chakra can have stored lots of trauma that may bring up bad memories, strong emotions, and can be overwhelming to process. So, work with a health professional to help you process these events and emotions. And I say that because it can be a pretty hard chakra to process through, especially if you're dealing with a lot of generational trauma that is stored in your chakra. You're going to unpack a lot of different emotions that are stored there that may be hard to process without the help of without the help of a professional. The professional can help you deal with these emotions and kind of figure out what the core wound is and help you process that in a better way than just by yourself. It is possible to process these events by yourself, but of course, if you need the help, partner with a health professional. All right, so let's talk about now about the mental health issues that can manifest if you have an imbalanced root chakra. So you may feel persistent fear and anxiety. You may feel ungrounded and spacey. You may feel disconnected from your body. You may feel disconnected from Earth. You may feel like you don't belong. You may have the belief that you're unworthy to exist or take up any space. You may have body dysmorphia, PTSD, depression, or panic attacks. So these are just some examples of what could manifest if you have an imbalanced root chakra. Remember that to partner with a health professional if you are experiencing any of these, but you can also work on balancing your root chakra in order to help with these mental health issues. All right. So next we have physical ailments that may manifest if you have a root chakra imbalance. So the root chakra rules over the spine, the bladder, blood, kidneys, reproductive organs, your legs and feet. So you may experience issues with your legs and feet, problems with your bladder and colon, lower back problems, feeling sluggish, lethargic, and fatigued, prostate problems in men's, and sciatica problems. So think of any, and these are just a few of the issues that may arise. So think of any physical ailment, either disease that may be rooted from the spine, the bladder, the blood, the kidneys, the reproductive organs, legs, and feet. That all will be tied to the root chakra. So if you experience any of these physical ailments, then balancing that root chakra is also going to help you with these physical ailments in helping you heal and cure these physical ailments. Again, if you are experiencing this and any other physical ailment or disease, partner with a health professional so they are able to help you treat these issues. An imbalanced root chakra can manifest through certain life challenges, and those are tied to struggling with finding a safe home, or you may be dealing with homelessness. You may struggle with self-care, such as basic hygiene, staying hydrated, and eating a balanced diet. It also may manifest as financial problems, such as not making enough money to pay bills, spending more time dreaming than taking action towards those dreams, feeling like you don't belong anywhere, and then being stubborn and afraid of change. So we can have 3 different states of our chakras. We could have underactive chakra and an overactive chakra and a balance chakra. So when we have an underactive chakra, so not enough energy flowing through there, then we may feel unloved, sexually inadequate, frustrated, fearful, shy, or unsure. When we have an overactive chakra, when there's too much energy in that area, then we may be bossy, domineering. We may have a big ego. We may be greedy. We may be violent, and we may be cunning. So what does a balanced root chakra look like? So a balanced root chakra is when we are grounded and centered within ourselves and our environment. We know that we belong in this world. We have the right to take up space, and we also have a purpose. We are trusting of ourselves, trusting of the people around us, and trusting of the environment around us. We also feel independent. We know that we are taken care of by the universe with our basic needs, and we feel alive. We have a sense of life within us, and we know that we are alive and are here for a reason. So let's talk about the root chakra and the shadow. If you have not taken a look at last week's class, I touched upon the shadow and what that is. Please go back and take a look at that. So trauma is the main reason people become disconnected from parts of ourselves, and they develop limiting beliefs that rule over their lives. So the trauma causes this disconnection from certain parts of ourself or our authentic self. Then when we disconnect, that causes certain limiting beliefs, and those limiting beliefs will rule over our lives until we change our limiting beliefs. Those limiting beliefs manifest into our external environment, creating the life that we see. An important part about the root chakra and the shadow is because the root chakra rules over fear, which is the governing emotion of the shadow. So when we are afraid or just fearful of life, of being abused, neglected, then we repress those fears. We form these limiting beliefs. That affects our self-worth, and then we create the shadow. We create the shadow to hide the fears we have. And then all of our ways we speak, we think, we act, we behave are ruled over by the shadow, which is hiding our fear. When we are in fear, we're not our authentic self because we're being ruled by the shadow. So, what are some ways that we can heal our root chakra? So, I'll go over a few of these in the next couple slides. One of them is crystal healing. So, crystals contain healing energies and vibrations that can clear out blockages and bring your energy into balance. So, in order for these crystals to help us heal our root chakra, we want to find crystals that are grounding and protecting. Some of these may include garnet, red jasper, black tourmaline, bloodstone, black obsidian, are just a few to mention. Again, you're looking for grounding and protecting crystals. Just on a side note about crystals, if you know how to do Reiki, then you could Reiki the crystals to amplify the effect of the crystals to help you heal faster or just better. And a good practice with crystals is cleansing the crystals and charging the crystals. So you could cleanse them with incense. Some you can cleanse with water, just depends on the crystal. And you can charge the crystals with either another crystal or with sunlight or moonlight. It just kind of depends on which crystal you're dealing with. Another healing method is essential oils. So, essential oils can help with calming your emotions and can help you keep grounded. So, for the root chakra, think of essential oils that will help more with grounding and then have these earthy tones in order to create that environment of grounding. So, cedarwood, frankincense, patchouli, and sandalwood are some of those. And then essential oils, you can use them as a diffuser. With the diffuser, you could also kind of rub some of those essential oils within that particular area also of the root chakra to help, or also just within the area where you may have like a physical ailment, and that will also help. You could, if you know Reiki, you could also incorporate the essential oils with a Reiki practice to kind of amplify that Reiki healing. And diet. So we could also help improve our chakra health through our diet. So, foods specifically for the root chakra, foods that are grounding and are the same red hue will help you ground. So, like I mentioned before, red is the color of the root chakra. So, we're looking at red fruits and veggies. So, strawberries, tomatoes, red apples, red peppers, beets, anything with that bright red hue is going to help us heal that root chakra. Next, another form is exercise. So, exercise helps us with grounding and reconnecting with our body. So, martial arts, self defense, running, swimming, yoga, and I highlighted walking in nature because you do not need to have this intricate exercise routine, and walking in nature is probably the best exercise that you can get and is the most grounding. If you are having an issue with feeling ungrounded and are trying to reconnect your body, just a 10-15 minute walk in nature is going to do wonders for you, especially if you can um, take this walk in nature on grass with bare feet, just kind of letting earth ground you. And just not even walking, but just putting your feet in grass is going to help you immensely towards grounding. I just wanted to highlight that. Specifically, I wanted to talk about yoga and how if you practice yoga, then certain poses will help you ground yourself and help with being centered. So these are just some of them: the child's pose, easy pose, the mountain pose, the squat pose, and the warrior two. And you can look these up probably on YouTube or just a yoga book, what these poses are. But all of these poses are for grounding. Um, and you don't necessarily have to do yoga poses, something that will help you ground yourself, usually staying low to the ground. Again, kind of relating to being in Mother Earth. So, like going outside, just sitting outside crisscrossed, or just however you want to sit, barefoot on the grass, is going to help with grounding yourself. Another way that you could heal yourself is through affirmations. So, the affirmations help rewire the brain to remove any limiting beliefs that we have created and replace these limiting beliefs with positive ones. So, these are just some examples to help with the root chakra. So, I am safe and secure. I am grounded. I have everything I need to survive and thrive. The universe will always provide. I deserve to take up space, and all is well in my world. These are just a few of the affirmations. You can create your own, but repeating these affirmations, creating a routine around these affirmations, either in the morning or during the evening before bed, um, will help you heal that root chakra because you are removing these limiting beliefs from your subconscious mind and you are replacing them with positive beliefs that will manifest in your life. With affirmations, it is best to create a routine around them. I think the best time to do them, I would say, right before sleep. That's kind of when you're you're in between that conscious and kind of like subconscious space where you're falling asleep, you're winding down, and that's when your mind can absorb these affirmations better and actually rewire your brain. Another way that we could heal our root chakra is through journaling. So I talked about shadow work in the last class, and journaling is part of that shadow work. So journaling helps us uncover, process, and work through any limiting beliefs that we may have. Here are just some journaling prompts. I am going to have you choose one of these in order to help you heal through journaling. So, when life feels chaotic, what can I do to feel grounded and centered? What does it mean to be rooted in the present moment? And I have felt unsupported when, finish the sentence, and I am ready. What am I ready to let go of? So, these are just some prompts that you can use to help you journal, to answer and uncover certain questions, to help you process through certain things that may be blocked in your root chakra. So now for homework. Again, I talked about the shadow work homework. So out of those prompts, or if you want to create your own prompt, so pick one of the prompts or create your own and just journal about your experience answering that journal prompt in relation to your root chakra. That could be as short or as long as you want. It's there to help you. And then the meditation homework. So I will be posting the meditation on YouTube. So unfortunately, TikTok does not allow me to post the meditation using my own music. So link in bio for my YouTube channel, and that's where the meditations are. So this meditation slash Reiki healing is going to help you connect, ground, and balance your root chakra. And then again, any questions, please feel free to write them in the comments. I will try to answer the comments or bring the questions up in the next session. And I will see you next week.